So I'm really excited. Welcome everyone to album and video campaign creation for artists. We have a just completely amazing, astonishing group of people here to talk to you all about this. And I'm going to say we have Tessa Violet, Sydney Jacobs, and Jeff Halliday. I'm going to let each of you introduce yourselves and then we can get going. Tessa, you want to start?
Oh, yes. Hi, I'm Tessa Violet. I'm an artist. You might know my song Crush or Wishful Drinking, and I work with, do I call you an indie label? Is that right? What does the word indie mean? Tag, or Tag is my label? I'll throw it to Sydney.
Hey, I'm Sydney. I work at Tag Music, which is Tessa's, yes, independent record label. So just not a major, I guess Tessa is how I'm using that word. But I'm the project manager for all label side. And then also we have a couple management clients like Tessa. So I get to be her day to day as well.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Jeff Halliday. I'm the director of marketing for Downtown Music Services. And we focus a lot of our energy on marketing artist projects and releases, similar to Tessa, who actually worked with one of our sister companies, Dashco, I think previously, on some of her amazing music. So, small world.
Heck yeah.
Fantastic, you guys. I'm so happy to have you here. We have a great, a wealth of experience and knowledge. I was on the independent label side for about 15 years, but I'm going to let you guys, because you know the most recent stuff, I'm like about 4 years too late. So we've got a lot of great questions and a lot of great information to get through. So I'm going to start with Tessa and Sydney. Can you run through basically a recent campaign, whether it's for a video, a song, an album, and just, you know, kind of dig into how you made the decisions you did around timing, around who to work with, and how did you use kind of analytics and fan data to inform the decisions that you made? And so I'm opening up to both of you because I figure you kind of, there was the creative side and the you know, analytics side, and I'm sure you complemented each other in doing that. So take it away.
You want to go first, or you want me
to
to
go first?
All right, cool. The example I might talk about is maybe different than the one Tess is going to talk about, but this is maybe a more niche example, but a recent campaign that we had was for Tessa's song Games that was featuring Lovely the band. And this one was different because we did a radio campaign with it, tried to take it to alternative radio. And so because of that, our timeline was a little bit different than just a normal single. Basically with radio, they're kind of looking at you every week for new numbers, new marketing things. Like you got to have bullet points every single week that is something different and new and exciting and keep going for a really long time. So that kind of affected our timeline because we kind of wanted to make as many moments out of the song release as possible instead of just kind of like one big bang. A lot of people like to put the video and song out at the same time and make a big splash. And then after that, you're kind of, you know, trying to keep pushing that. And so what we tried to do was kind of leave breadcrumbs and have just more exciting things after another, excuse me. And so how that kind of affected what we did was Tessa had this brilliant idea, in case anybody's ever seen it, of doing a spoof of, or like an homage to the Twilight baseball scene that was kind of going around big on TikTok at the time. And so she had this idea that her and the other artist were these competing vampires. And so that just gave us so much to work with from a marketing standpoint, where on set we got pictures of everyone, like baseball cards and things like that. And so what we were trying to do was really just week after week roll something out that was exciting and new for the fans, but brought them all back to the video. So yeah, that was something that timeline wise was kind of different because week after week we tried to introduce something. We teased it the first week, the next week was the video, the next week was the merch line, the next week we made a baseball card generator where fans could become part of the team and then share it on socials. So I think, yeah, I'm maybe going too off handle of what even the question was, but that's the first example that came to mind. Tess, I don't know if you want to build on that at all.
Yeah. What was the question again? Sorry. I think that was a really good answer for it. So I'm like, what can I add to it?
basically, what was a recent campaign that you could dig into, talk about how you made some of the decisions. Maybe you want to talk about the creative stuff, whether it's a single, an album, a video, and how you decided stuff like timelines, whether you want to answer more about what Sydney was talking about, or if you have a different idea of a campaign you want to mention, up to you.
Yeah, no, I think that Sydney and I were texting about this before, like, which campaign do we talk about? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, we've done so many, so we have so much different information. I mean, I kind of feel like, how do we decide what to do? A lot of is just, well, let's try this, we throw it at the wall. We've tried a lot of different things, and some things have been like really worked and some things less so. And we're like, cool, we won't do that one again next time. I think one like great thing from the games campaign, but also from all the things, is if you have a release, pick a theme. For games, our theme was Twilight. So then we could come up with many things that were connected to that theme. And then for an earlier campaign, we'd done like a Nancy Sinatra Boots Are Made for Walking thing. And it's very easy to, I don't know, this is the first time I've had this thought, but I'm like, what if every release is a birthday party and you need to have a theme? And then you're like, there are many things that everyone does every release, the teaser, the this, the that, and then you can just like have a theme to everything, which makes it more of an event.
Yeah, I love that. I think it just makes every aspect of marketing easier because, you have merch ideas if you want to do that. You have advertisement ideas. You have social media, TikTok ideas. Like, it kind of falls in your lap if you kind of have an all-encompassing thing each video. Yeah. And I definitely we haven't really done that before this video. And I'm like you said, thinking back on older campaigns, like what could we have done? So I think it's interesting to think about for videos for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're spending so much time and energy and creative, spirit in making something, making it a celebration is a great way to think about it for sure. So Jeff, I wanted to ask you kind of a similar question. Can you talk about a recent campaign that you've overseen that did incorporate video content, whether that was a music video itself or whether that included clips, teasers, TikToks, GIFs, or GIFs, if you're a GIF person? How did you incorporate that? And how do you think that enhanced, the music release, the music video release, the single release?
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to touch on an artist, Mero, who's been really video heavy in his rollout of pretty much every piece of music that he's done. This recent or sort of second to most recent single, Coastline, is the one that I think really utilized video in a lot of unique ways to bring attention from different platforms. So it wasn't just YouTube driven or IGTV or like the traditional outlets. And like you guys had pointed out, sort of the teaser, the trailer, the sort of all the little dessert pieces that come along with your official music video. So they really did a pretty calculated effort at teasing the song through his fan networks. So instead of him seeding the song out through his own channels, he was sharing it with fans, little clips, and they were posting them to their TikTok or their Instagram. We also had a really unique opportunity with Apple Music where some of you guys may already be aware of this, but the spatial audio mixing that Apple has really pushed to the forefront of some of their marketing efforts. Mero's team engaged Apple early on to say, hey, we're going to have this song mixed in spatial. So they actually came out to the studio and filmed a piece that sort of broadened his audience in a little more of it brought him to a new fan base that really wouldn't have necessarily experienced him from like the indie or acoustic playlists, because maybe that's not where they go listen to music. And it kind of put him in a new sort of tech forward space that was really interesting. One of the things we're finding with artists, and I'm sure this is the case with Tessa, knowing how many different amazing campaigns you guys have put together, you're kind of competing for attention on all these different platforms and with a lot of different types of media. It's not just music that you're competing against now, it's podcasts and beauty and health, and like everything is in one place for a lot of the day-to-day browsing that we do. And so setting up a campaign with a theme, as you guys pointed out, or some sort of narrative that you can push through, but also looking to sort of back yourself up by saying, I don't want to just populate in music spaces. I want to be in, maybe it's Wired, or like you want to sort of bring your influence to the other areas, whether it's podcasts or cooking channels or whatever crazy collaborations you can do with Twitch streamers. We've certainly seen artists that have pushed through in a meaningful way by just being open to those opportunities, really. So Mero was certainly someone who's like young, up and coming, but engaged some of those unique opportunities. The other one I want to mention for him is translation lyric videos, which really drove a lot of international engagement. We pushed out to some of these young, up and coming YouTube essentially influencers who are like, sometimes they're like high school kids or college age. And what they run are YouTube channels that take popular music, popular indie music, or sometimes even major label music in instances, and they'll make their own lyric video in the native language to their territory, so that fans in like Brazil or Spain or Germany can have that moment to reflect on the actual content of the lyrics and listen to the song and be presented in a sort of more contextualized way for their own understanding. And it really helped his audience. We ended up actually going back and sort of retargeting Brazil and a few other international territories in Southeast Asia, because we had seen that the engagement in like Malaysia and Thailand and all these different translated versions of his videos were coming up. So it was a really cool way to see video. Again, as I think Sydney also pointed out, it was all driving back to his original song. So as this sort of critical mass was gaining momentum on these different places, it seemed to accumulate with a ton of subscriber growth on his YouTube and follower growth. And yeah, it was a fantastic thing to see.
That's awesome. And I just love hearing about the many different ways you can incorporate what like you knew there was a big international fan base, into the way that you decide to do that outreach. I love that idea of the translated videos. Yeah.
Yeah, take that one, steal that one.
Thank you. Guys, that's a free one.
I texted Sydney on the side. I'm like, this is a good idea.
Yeah, seriously. The secret side chats that are happening between our panelists. So I guess, another question for Tessa and Sydney, and I'm going to go into this one specifically about teasers. I think we're always kind of told that we need to do kind of teasers leading up to, say, a brand relaunch, like we've been doing on our socials all week, or a new video, a new song. And I know we kind of touched on that a little bit, but do you, Tessa and Sydney, do you have things that have worked best, that have worked less well? Do you have any ideas about, are we talking GIFs? Are we talking, the deep web? Are we talking Reddit posts? Like what are your favorite strategies? What's worked best for you, or what have been kind of some fun ideas?
A few things we've done. Tessa has liked to do like puzzles and things that gets fans like super involved and using detective skills. So that's been really fun, and they're just really fun to make too, and interactive, where there's like website rabbit holes or secret passwords and things like that. I think we did like we changed all the canvases on Spotify to have Morse code, which took forever because I still can't understand how Morse code works. Tessa's really great at it, but so we'll like hide messaging in other places like Spotify, where we're driving them back there to go listen, and then they're finding out, something that goes to a website or something. So it's fun to take them on kind of like a little chase. But sometimes I think just things that have been most effective, like for example, this Twilight campaign that we just did, Tessa put the teaser out, I think, right when the song came out. And I'm not sure, Tessa, if you prompted people, if you had a hashtag there or something, but essentially just using
I think I just posted a picture from the music video the day before, right? Because I remember that picture was all over Twitter. People saw and they're like, oh my God, they knew it was Twilight.
Yeah, I think you pushed it to like the teaser to Twitter, which I think was a good idea, because then that created more people talking about it, which eventually made her start trending on Twitter. And so then you were able to keep pushing that trending higher and higher and higher, and tell fans that you'll release more of it if they keep tweeting and getting it higher. So I think like sometimes a teaser on, YouTube or Instagram may not have that same effect where you're also building social engagement that's organic around it, and then you can kind of keep pushing the ball along on Twitter, which is I think sometimes like Twitter is underutilized maybe in that capacity, where you think like hosting a video teaser, maybe YouTube is best, but really you can kind of build even more organic content around Twitter. Yeah,
for sure. Twitter, and I'm looking up my own music video teasers right now to see like which one was the most effective on YouTube. Oh, am I muted? No, I'm not. Sorry, totally lost my train of thought. I'm looking at numbers. So here's a thought I'm having. I wish everything going forward, I need to be very hyper aware of this. Build into your music video shoot, or whatever your shoot is for having like your main piece of video content, build into that day teaser content, because teaser content is better when it's not just the music video. That doesn't feel like a teaser. It feels like a collage of moments that, you know, over a snippet of the song just doesn't feel exciting. And if you can have a moment, a teaser moment that is a moment, that's going to build a lot more excitement for it.
I think we had a whole reshoot day almost just for teasers almost, but it worked. It was effective.
Yeah.
Going in with that mindset, I think really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That makes a ton of sense. So shifting a bit to channel health and analytics for the various social channels and, you know, YouTube and other things you might be involved in. So Jeff, how do you work with your artists whose campaigns you're managing on their channel health and how to maximize, you know, cross-platform promotion to ensure that, you know, you have as many eyes on these launches, these campaign launches as possible?
Yeah, one of the things we really push, it's sort of the most, in some ways, boring part of the music distribution process, but really enriching your metadata, the descriptions, especially in YouTube and all the different places that you're going to be putting your music, making sure that your link outs work properly, and if possible, are maybe you know, done through like a found.ee or a feature FM or smart URL, something that's actually tracking the usage and potentially even building your retargeting pools, which could certainly help, you know, future campaigns. But it also really sort of works. We've seen, especially the YouTube to Spotify or Apple Music conversion, the TikTok to Spotify or Apple Music conversion. These forums, YouTube, which is still the place I think 100% of the globe would say they're going to go check out a music video, still really tends to be the referral platform to any user's native digital platform. So even if you are like a Spotify user or an Apple Music user, you find the video on YouTube, you know, you may be subscribed because it's a band you like. You may get fed a video by the algorithm because YouTube's algorithm is scary good. And eventually, once you've sort of found the songs you like, you'll often find yourself as a fan. I know this happens to me all the time, like listening to it on Apple Music or Spotify, where I'm actually subscribed. And that sort of becomes the long tail listening. So what we've really seen in the data behind video launches, you know, that health check, you want to make sure that all the lanes to the songs on those monetized platforms are built and there and ready to sort of receive traffic, and not just to receive it, but potentially to amplify it. Because if you look and you see that your YouTube video is doing really well and you're seeing a spike on Spotify in a certain territory, you know, that's when you may want to double down and you know, do some TrueView advertising or some discovery ads on YouTube in that territory, specifically pushing people to check it out, because you know that that conversion is already sort of inherently there. And if you see that your follower growth, for instance, on Spotify is growing out of a certain territory, or even just overall after a video, you know, that video asset might actually be good on other platforms to drive Spotify follower growth, even targeting your already existing Instagram followers, because who knows how many of your followers out of 200,000 or 300,000 don't even follow you on Spotify yet, and all you need to do is ask. So we've
Jeff,
really.
did you say? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you say that YouTube is a bigger driver to Spotify than TikTok?
Not necessarily a bigger driver, but I'll say that because of the way that Google and YouTube really treat metadata and descriptions and text, if I'm being honest, in a very similar way, contextualized against video and user habits and all the analytics that they're collecting, it indexes in an amazing way. And search results and all of the like SEO that exists on Google also exists in YouTube. So while TikTok is an incredibly powerful discovery platform, it's also a little bit more momentary. Whereas YouTube, you'll notice things bubbling to the top weeks or months afterwards in a similar way to how TikTok does, but in a much more targeted sense. And because of that, the conversion out is so much better. You know, we've seen obviously with a really strong description with all the link outs, if a music video goes viral on YouTube, the impact on almost all of the other streaming platforms is noticeable. On TikTok, you're sort of relying on fans to hit some sort of critical mass as they're actually going to go over to Spotify. And we've certainly seen songs that have done really well on TikTok and just not converted, which is rare for YouTube, because it's a little bit more of like a cohesive music ecosystem.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I still think TikTok is absolutely an amazing place for music to be discovered. But it's also, yeah, it's a very quick attention span and it relies on that. Like, so to a degree, you know, your fan base just isn't quite as warm necessarily as scrolling goes on like the For You page and stuff like that.
That all makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because TikTok kind of will serve people things they didn't necessarily ask for.
Yeah, I mean, it's always testing. I mean, they'll get better and better. It's just like, if I'm being real, YouTube has Google and all of the data engineering behind that. It's pretty hard to compete with YouTube's algorithm at this point. And the way that it serves up on autoplay. I'm sure any of you guys have click play on a music video you like, and the chances of getting fed something else you really like within 2 or 3 videos are about 100%.
Yeah.
So,
that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask one more question to everyone, starting with Tessa, and then I think we have a couple of good things in the Q&A, and I'll give you guys a chance to make another point if you have any, you know, anything that you're burning to share. So Tessa, how have you chosen who to work with when you're creating music videos? Like, you're, as far as I understand, you're very hands-on in this creative process. But in terms of directors, in terms of, you know, collaborators, choreographers, anyone that is on your team, and obviously Sydney, you and the tag folks are involved in that process as well. But, you know, how do you generally work with like a video director? Do you collaborate? Do you take their lead? Does it depend on the person and the project? I just love to hear more kind of how you make those creative choices around specifically visuals, whether it's video or, you know, the teasers that you make or anything else you make to kind of support your music.
Yeah. I always try to look for people in every part of the creative world, like both on the music side, production and video directors, art direction, whatever, people who are going to be very collaborative. I feel like I have a vision for everything I do, and I want to work with someone who's going to elevate that. And I suppose not every artist is that way, but I don't know, I only have my one experience, but I would guess also just from the people that I know that the people who are successful are the people who have their own vision and are looking for collaborators that are wanting to elevate. I think, sorry, earlier in the chat, I asked like, what is the ideal thing you want to do? And a lot of people I think are wanting to work behind the scenes versus on the stage, but also on the stage, which is great. And this is a good advice for both people behind the scenes and on the stage. Artists, no one's gonna work harder for your project than you are. And no one can make it happen for you. There's I think, you know, this dream that it's like, oh, once I get signed, then I'm gonna be big. But everyone I know who is signed on a major label or not has just learned the thing of like, oh, actually, I am the engine. I am the engine to my thing. And if I'm not going, it's not going to go. And they're there to help me and to like, again, elevate, but you just are the driving force of your career. And if you're going to half-ass it, you're going to see half-assed results. But, you know, and I think that can be a frustrating lesson too for people behind the scenes to learn, because sometimes you work with an artist who you see how incredibly talented they are, and you're like, I just want them to be so successful, but they're not willing to put the work in, whatever that may mean either. And a lot of times, it's fear. Artists are sometimes reticent to get on TikTok because they're like, that's where influencers are. I don't think it's cool. And it's like, dude, you have a like first time in a lifetime opportunity to have hundreds of thousands, millions of people hear your music, to grow a fan base, and you're not willing to do it because you're afraid, and I don't remember what the question was, but there's a tangent.
Killed it. You crushed that.
Oh, who do I work with? Yes, people who are willing to elevate and collaborate. I have another thought on the video I want to share. I think another idea that can be an idea is that, oh, if I have a great music video, then my song's going to be a hit. But the truth is that I just feel like it's very hard to get people to watch music videos. And I know some people are they like to do the visual and the audio together, but it's asking someone to put their full attention on something. And I think music videos are a beautiful way, again, to elevate the art. You get to create the cinematic universe for this music that you've created. But I think in general, it's not going to be the driving force that maybe we hope it would be. And I say all that to say, if you have a budget for your release, I would not blow the entire budget on a music video, unless you're just making the artistic choice of, this is what I want to do because it's meaningful to me as an artist. But I would spread it out over many things that you want to do. Teasers, things to engage people, events, and video is extremely important. I'm not saying it's not important, but more, if you can have more is more.
Yeah, that's great. I will say, just to piggyback on your point, I have had the experience of working with many incredibly talented, brilliant artists, but their fear of not seeming cool completely undermined their ability to reach more people. And that is an absolutely important point. If that is your priority, that's fine, but you will absolutely run into obstacles. You can still do great, but it does make it a tougher road. So I'm going to go to Jeff and Sydney, since you're working on the marketing sides. How do you advise the musicians, video creators you're working with when it comes to partners, when it comes to directors, or again, collaborators of other types? And then Tessa, you had said what I agree with, which is don't spend all your money on a video, but how would you two recommend incorporating video into your overall budget? Is that something that's going to depend on the artist? I'm guessing it's a yes on that, but we'll see. Sydney, you want to start off?
Yeah, sure.
I was just thinking, dude, we spend so much money on a video. We do, but it's because we just love it. It's just part of the art, But I'm also like, if someone's like, how do I make my song a hit? I can't endorse it necessarily. Sorry, Sydney, take it away.
No, it's okay. I was just about to agree with everything you're saying. I think making the video is not even half the battle. It's I think a lot of, even I think earlier in our days working together, we kind of felt like, okay, we did the video's out, we're done. And you kind of just sit there and you think that that's what's going to drive people to the song, but that's really not the case. It's there to build the world around the artist and for fans, but I would really just put your budget and a lot of your time into trying to get ways to bring people back to you. I think TikTok is just so I don't want to be a broken record, but I think it's just so valuable today, and to bring people who may not ever click on your video on YouTube or even get recommended your video on YouTube, but you are getting algorithmically put in front of them. And I think things like putting music video cut downs doesn't really work either, because people really want to see who you are as a person. And I think sharing stories about maybe how you made the video, or just about why you wrote this song, is so valuable, and that will eventually drive people back to the video, but you can't lead with the video. And so I definitely wouldn't recommend putting all your budget into something like that. But when it comes to picking collaborators, something that I think is really important that I've seen over the years is it really has to be artist led creatively. Like you need someone who's a good collaborator and a good executor and has a good vision. But if it's completely led by this other creative person you're hiring, it really takes the artist out of the project and kind of makes them more just like the star of the video rather than this is a piece of their project. And I think people can feel that when something is not necessarily from the person who is speaking and sharing the story, that they kind of got a video treatment from a director and they were like, I like this one best. And they just kind of went with that. I think sometimes you can kind of feel that. And so I think my advice is to find someone who's open to collaborating, but also like really try and have the concept and the heart of it, like be true to your project and who you are, because otherwise I think people can kind of smell that. Like it feels just inauthentic. And I think authenticity is what people really want to connect with at the end of the day. So
yeah, I was gonna say authenticity is absolutely what we push, impress upon all of the artists we're working with as far as like video content, and not just music videos, but certainly when you're looking for, video creators to work with, whether they can also produce all of the other amazing sort of assistive content to go into your campaign. We still find that when you can draw that straight line through the song, the cover art, the fashion that the artist is wearing for the campaign, the press shots, every video, if it's really, really straightforward, to the point, and on theme, as again Tessa pointed out, it's really much easier to populate that world with things that are meaningful and drive in an actually engaging way back to that song, and kind of do create that world. We still, as you guys pointed out, we still see artists spending a lot of their budget on video because it tends to be an elevated art form that requires a lot of location and gear rental and just things that are like really hard to cut corners on. If you want something to come out looking up to your own quality standards, especially if you're an artist driven project, like there are going to be costs associated with that. The beautiful thing about those videos, and I think especially for, as you guys pointed out, with TikTok and YouTube and these platforms that really sort of exist to make your music available to fans in perpetuity, is that budget, though you spent it on the video today or last month, potentially you could be repaid for that for the entirety of your career. And in reality, like that's actually what the best sort of career long artists seem to be able to manage to do, is every new fan finds themselves sort of falling down the well of art that any artist has created. And based on how beautiful and good and sort of in touch with it the fan can become, I've found myself spending, and I'm sure anyone on this call as well, hours digging through and learning about an artist. And it all came from one sort of entry point that might have been something they invested $15,000 in like 1998. And that's a beautiful thing. And I think artists, while we say like 30% of your overall marketing budget is probably about where you should cap like the video content creation, we've seen artists spend 90% of their budget on it. And I'm certainly not here to say you're wrong. What I will say though is when you do have those moments where a video starts to pick up organically, you want to make sure that you've got a little bit of budget left over to amplify that. Because when things start to pick up on the organic side, we live in a world where it's sort of, I hate to say it, but it's pay to play to a degree. And the algorithm can only take you so far. Once things are on fire, those ads that's your napalm. So you can really target growth in a meaningful way once you've seen the organic side come to fruition. And it'll cost you a lot less money because you have this obviously perceived success in the video already. It's got views, it's got comments, and the engagement might be high. So fan perception when they land on the video is going to be much better.
Can I jump in on this chat here?
Oh yeah, I was actually going to say, let's, we've got a lot of folks in the chat who are saying, what if I don't have any budget? How do I make videos with no budget? So yeah, I would love to, I've done videos for artists signed to labels for $0 on an iPhone. I've done them for $1,000 starring a motorcycle gang that just agreed to do it to be nice. Like there's a lot of stuff, but it's definitely a hustle. But yeah, Tessa, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, what would I do if I was starting from scratch right now in the year of our Lord 2021? I would make one, I love video. I'm shocked to hear that most artists are spending 30% of their budget. I think we spend 70% of our budget on video. And as I was reconsidering, I'm like, what do I mean when I say don't blow all your money on video? And I think I mean do blow all your money on video. Just don't expect it to work for you. But sorry, what would I do if I was starting from scratch right now? One, I would have a lot of friends that also are trying to do what I want to do, and I would do favors for them, and then I would ask for favors to make videos, and I would look at a lot of YouTube video DIY. How do I do cool lighting for an at-home video? And just like literally you can use your iPhone to make stuff like that. Stabilization on the iPhone's amazing. I'd learn how to edit videos. That's what I do for video. And then I would live on TikTok. And I do two types of videos. I do the one, I don't know if you guys have seen this on your feed, but one trend is like the car video is a classic. They're an artist in their car and they have the robot voice be like, hello, I'm an artist and I just released this song. It's about, and then like a 1-sentence description of what, not live, a plain TikTok that goes to the feed. And here's the song. And then the song plays and you sing along to it. And I would do a bunch of those because, again, people are afraid of looking uncool. So they have one that, and dude, I experience it too. You spend all day on TikTok and you're like, this is going to be fucking awesome. And then no one sees it. And you're like, that was embarrassing. I'm never going to do that again. But what you don't realize is that it's no stakes. No one saw it. So it doesn't matter. Make it again. Sometimes people make those videos like 4 times and it's the 4th one that takes off. And then as for trying to get trends going, I think it's very easy to look at TikTok and be like, oh, I just need a dance trend to go along with my song. But if you're not a choreographer, you're not going to be able to get a dance going. Like those dances, although they kind of trickle down to being very, very simple, they start very expert level. And that's why they go viral and end up trickling down to something simpler. And what was the second TikTok artist that you would do? I would try and get a trend going, which may or may not be successful. We had a very successful trend with wishful drinking, which was a transition thing I did because that was already in my wheelhouse. I love to edit videos. So that one was very, very successful and it grew to a different type of transition. And then for games, we tried to do another transition trend and it was a complete flop, which another lesson to learn is that not everything's going to work. Not every song is a hit. That's just the truth of it. And that's okay. And if you can be comfortable with that, then you can know that in some sense, just hit your swing away every time, not every time's going to be a win, but if you swing every time, at least you'll know you tried and some of them will be a win. Which platforms provide the most organic success? TikTok. But organic is such a trap. People are like, oh, it happened organically. But almost everything that happened organically had so much work put into it that you didn't see first.
I was just about to say that when you say that your trend worked, people might think oh, I have to go out and make a trend that works tomorrow. But you spent months going from 0 followers to, I think you had only 75K when your videos started taking off. So all of that work. And then on top of that, I think I counted the other day for some reason, you did that trend 14 times or something crazy.
Which one? Sorry.
The wishful drinking, I think you did about over 10 just in a row, which I think some people are afraid to feel annoying or feel repetitive, but that's exactly how you get it to work. And it's just not shying away from it. And then, it went from an album track on her album to her 2nd most streaming song, which people know her by. And I think some people are also afraid that Tessa's had the experience where people are seeing her on the street and instead of being like, oh, that's the artist Tessa Violet, they're like, that's the TikToker Tessa Violet.
They're I love your TikToks.
It's like a blessing, it's showing that this is working and that people, maybe they think that she's a TikToker, but they are pushing along her song, which they may not realize, but it's, you know, it's a small price to pay for in the long run to have a really successful campaign like that. So
For sure. And like, dude, TikTok is such a blessing. I want to shake every artist that is afraid to use TikTok. I'm like, you think you're afraid of failure, but the truth is you're just afraid to be uncomfortable. And if you can decide that you are willing to be uncomfortable, you're going to have so much more success in life, because every fear you think you have, fear of failure, fear of success, everything people talk about, you're just afraid of feeling uncomfortable. Feel uncomfortable, and then you're going to just move through it, you know? It's like, yeah, look at my TikTok, dude. I have so many flops, but then 1 in 10 gets a million or several million views. You know, it's great.
I could also, like, that extends to be kind of like good life advice as well. But before we get too philosophical and go too heavily into TikTok, although if you're not following Song Trust on TikTok, do it now. We've got incredible videos that are very educational and also very funny. I'm going to do kind of a lightning round. We're already over, but the next thing doesn't start till 1:30. So let's do a few minutes. Jeff Halliday, what are your thoughts on how to get on Spotify playlists? Lightning round.
That's a big one. I think consistently putting out music is one of the biggest ones. But when I say consistent, I don't mean putting a song out every week. One of the things we've really started to encourage artists to do is sort of play to the DSP's best practices and use the algorithms that are available there to their advantage. Spotify for Artists really puts you in a position where like 3 or 4 weeks between songs is important. So if there's one thing I would say as far as like a barrier for entry, like don't put music out too often. And if you have a song that you're really, really pushing for Spotify playlists, you have to pitch it through Spotify for Artists in advance. If there are updates before the song comes out, you can update your pitch, and that will sometimes kind of get people on the other side engaged. And if you have a distributor who's working with you, see if they'll pitch it from their end as well. You know, the more people you can engage, Spotify's a big company, so you know you want to make sure that you have the maximum sort of opportunities for consideration. And from there, it's really just about editors liking your song. So go listen to the playlist you think you exist on, and be honest with yourself about whether your music is competitive there, and talk to other people who listen to those playlists and ask them, like, does this fit? Because you may find that it doesn't or it does. And those things are really going to help you target your campaign so you're not putting energy in the right or wrong place.
That's a great lightning round answer. This is a question for everyone. I'm going to throw it to Sydney. I'm doing a two-parter. This is from Tyler. What's your hot take on running Facebook or Instagram ads for new releases? And what are your thoughts on paying for sponsored TikTok ads? I will chime in. In my experience, running any sort of paid ads is the most useful if you have someone who knows what they're doing and can get you in front of people who are actually likely to like what you're doing. But I'm going to throw the main answer, lightning round, to Sydney.
Cool, thanks. I actually think we personally at Tag have just slowed down on running Facebook and Instagram ads. It's become a little bit too, I don't know. We don't know if it's as effective as it used to be. And it's also the process is getting a little bit stickier, it feels like, by the day. And I hate to also be a broken record again, but TikTok just gave access to a self-serve platform for running ads. And we found that to be extremely effective. And also we feel like the spend actually goes a long way. So you can, I think that's definitely something everybody should explore if you're interested in it. You can boost posts that you already have via their Spark ads, which we found have been very helpful. If not, it doesn't give you, I guess, like the engagement you're looking for, but I think it does help with views and it does help with reach, which I think is valuable on the platform. And I think it's valuable to have a few posts that look like they've done really well. So then when people come to your page, they're like, oh, what am I missing? So I hate to divert that answer from Facebook and Instagram to TikTok, but that's my advice at the moment.
That's fantastic. Jeff, can you speak to the Facebook, Instagram portion of that question?
Yeah, absolutely. We're sort of in a similar mode. We're certainly not spending as much in our like ad mix on Facebook, Instagram, and that's just, I think, in part due to folks like TikTok and all the other different ad opportunities coming along and sort of competing for budget. we've certainly seen that having an expert run your ads is becoming really the only way to reliably spend money without wasting a lot of your dollars. And the reality is also advertising, I think, is a funneled process that most people aren't really super keyed into. So making sure that you've got like a discovery and reach portion of your advertising that then converts people to like a more targeted, follower or subscriber call to action is really important. Staging your ads out as opposed to just having like one ad that says stream my song can make a huge difference.
I also think the content is something to put a lot of effort
Oh,
into.
absolutely.
A lot of people like to just say like, my song is out, stream now. And I think that's not going to be the most effective use.
Totally. We're all about video. Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. Video and like that first 3 to 5 seconds is pretty crucial.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've heard, in fact, that some say content is king. Hot take. So let's do one more question. We have so many good questions and I'm sorry, we're not going to get to all of them, but we are in fact already 10 minutes over, but I'm going to do lightning round for each of you on this. Can you recommend a good platform or tool for helping manage release campaigns? I'm just gonna say, Sydney and Jeff, Tessa, if you want to chime in on this, I don't know if you're using those platforms, but just everyone let me know.
Yeah, we use Airtable. That's one of the tools that we've certainly found to be really helpful. Both because it's like a databasing program where you can store information, but it's also able to tie into email notifications and linking to other databases and Google Sheets. And there's a lot of amazing automation. You can kind of use it as a combination of a project ledger as well as like a metadata storing. You can put your elevator pitch in there. You can have all your artist photos in there, and you can have your schedule as far as content. So I find Airtable to be really helpful. And there's a lot of competing tools out there that you could probably use in a similar way.
Are we all answering? I love to stick with Google Sheets. I have like a master kind of checklist for campaigns, which I think is super helpful, and it helps you just not forget every step of the way, which is super important because I think sometimes things can be different and get crazy, and that's really helpful. And we also use monday.com, which is another like kind of project software project management software, which we use internally, which is really helpful. And like Jeff said, they have email automations and things like that. So that's been super helpful use too.
Awesome.
And what software do you use?
I was going to say, I
disorganized Excel spreadsheet count. No, I don't do anything. Sydney does this.
That's the Sydney part. So I would love to hear from you, Tessa. Do you have a final word for our inspirational word, maybe, or advice for our attendees? And then we're going to be done with this session, and we're going to have to say goodbye to you guys.
Yes. There's just so much I want to say to someone who's just starting out, One thing, I heard a question that was like Spotify, how to get on Spotify playlists, which I too was obsessed with at the beginning. Now I feel like the power is in user curated playlists. So if I can have a great song, which, not every song is great. That's just the truth of it. And then if I can get that great song in front of as many people as possible, and they can add them to their personal playlists. My hit song Crush was only ever on 2 Spotify playlists all the time. It's all user generated playlists. And also, you're a storyteller. If you're a songwriter, if you're an artist, you're a storyteller, and people are going to care more about your story if they care about you. So put yourself out there, let people get to know you. If you don't let people get to know you, then of course you are someone in the spiritual sense, but in the like grand stage of competing for attention, who are you if you don't let people know you? You have to put yourself out there, and in as many ways as possible. If it's long form content, it should be YouTube. If you're willing to make video blogs, watch as many blogs as you can. Don't just jump into it having not seen a bunch that are good, because you'll get an understanding for the pacing of it. And TikTok is king. Make as many TikToks as you can and watch a lot of TikTok, because then you'll understand what works. And Not everything's going to work. Not every song's a hit. Don't take it personally. Just keep moving.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. This has been so great. We had so much incredible feedback in the chat. Thanks for all your questions. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of them. I'm going to share my screen with the conference schedule. The next session starts in 3 minutes, so I hope you don't all need to eat lunch right now like I do. Thank you, Sydney, Jeff, and Tessa. This has been awesome. And in 3 minutes, we are going to start our songwriting workshop. Thanks, y'all.
Bye, everybody.